7 spine-chilling motel horrors, unexplained secrets revealed behind the sinister room keys. Jenna slammed the SUV door, her heart racing as she felt the weight of their small town's whispers choke her. The evening sky was a deep navy, the stars ready to creep out, and she needed freedom. "Just a few miles," she whispered to Lily, hoping the endless stretch of interstate could dissolve the bitter memories that had intertwined with their lives. Lily, her talented but restless 16-year-old, sat silently, her phone trembling in her hand. The car rattled as they hit the deserted road, and with each passing mile, Jenna believed they were leaving the world of judgment behind. As dark clouds rolled overhead, Jenna's sense of peace slipped. The Timberline Motel loomed ahead, its flickering neon sign reading "vacancy" like a taunt. "It'll be fine, just for the night," she coaxed, despite its weathered facade. They dragged themselves inside, instantly drenched in the musty air, a stale reminder of forgotten stories. Worn furniture stared at them, and peeling wallpaper whispered secrets Jenna tried to ignore. Room 7 held an odd comfort, yet it felt like a trap. The keychain, a distorted eye, caught her attention. Lily's brows knitted in confusion as they plopped onto the bed. Jenna felt uneasy, sensing shadows shifting in the corners of her mind. "Mom, do you feel that?" Lily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jenna brushed it off, but the whispers seemed to come from the peeling walls. They were not alone. The morning light spilled in, but dread lingered. At the desk, the local sheriff offered a crooked grin, more interested in flirting than helping. When Jenna mentioned the odd noises, his indifference gnawed at her, leaving her feeling vulnerable. Paranoia clung to her. Lily's phone buzzed, and for a moment, Jenna thought of escaping this dreadful place. Yet fear gripped their hearts tighter than the cheap motel sheets. The bathroom mirror, smeared and cracked, reflected an eerie smile as Jenna washed her face. Outside, the sun was shining bright, an ironic contrast to the dark atmosphere that enveloped the Timberline. Then, out of the corner of her eye, she saw it, a shadow darting past the curtained window. Panic surged, and her heart pounded like a drum, cold sweat prickling at her skin. She grasped Lily's arm. "Did you see that?" Lily nodded, fear sparking in her eyes. They both knew something was wrong, but they couldn't quite place it. Old newspapers taped to the wall caught Jenna's eye. She approached them slowly, dread sinking into her bones as she read chilling stories. Missing guests, faces once vibrant, now faded on yellowing pages. A shiver skittered down her spine. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue." Jenna felt the motel close in around them. The sheriff's suspicious smile still echoed in her mind. She clutched the grim keychain, its cold metal biting into her palm. Shadows shifted, the whispers grown louder, seeping through the cracks in her mind. And then it happened. A sudden power outage plunged them into darkness. The air grew thick and electric, the whispers now surrounding them. Jenna reached out for Lily, panic stinging her voice into a scream, but all she felt was emptiness. The darkness was alive, and something was about to be uncovered. What would they discover in the shadows of Timberline Motel? Time was slipping away. The silence was suffocating. Jenna's breath hung in the air, jagged and frantic. She fumbled for her phone, its screen flickering to life, casting a ghostly glow that painted the room in stark relief. Shadows danced on the walls, lurking like predators waiting to pounce. "Lily," she called, her voice trembling with fear. "Are you there?" There was no answer, just the suffocating weight of darkness. Her heartbeat pounded in her ears as goosebumps raced across her skin. Struggling against the oppressive blackness, Jenna pushed forward, feeling her way to the bathroom door. It was wrong to be in a place like this. There had to be an escape, a way back to safety. "Mom!" Lily's voice pierced through the shadows, thin and fragile. "I'm here." Relief flooded Jenna for a moment, but it was quickly overshadowed by new dread. The sound felt too close for comfort, like it was echoing from right outside the door. It couldn't be. There was no one else here. "Where are you?" Jenna whispered, her voice tight with fear. I don't know." Lily's breath came in shallow bursts, the terror palpable. Jenna stumbled back to the bed, raising the phone higher to flood the room with its light. She squinted into the corners, searching for any sign of movement, any hint of what awaited them. There, at the edge of the table, was the keychain she had dropped. The eye seemed to watch her, taunting and mocking, like a gateway into a forgotten nightmare. Was it part of the trap? Jenna's stomach twisted, and she realized that the whispers had stopped, replaced by a suffocating silence that gnawed at her mind. Just as she suppressed the urge to scream, the power snapped back on. The fluorescent lights hummed to life, buzzing angrily. Startled, Jenna shielded her eyes, but when she lowered her hand, a chill shot through her. Lily stood in the doorway, pale and trembling. But it wasn't just fear that painted her expression. Something darker lingered in her gaze, a flicker of something not quite human. "Mom, we have to go," she said, her tone unsettlingly calm. "They're coming." "For us? What do you mean?" Jenna gasped, stepping forward. "Who's coming?" With a sudden flicker of the lights, the shadows jumped, twisting and writhing as if alive. Pictures on the walls, those faded faces from the paper, seemed to leer at her, mouths stretching into gloating grins. Goosebumps crawled over Jenna's skin as she felt a cold hand against her shoulder, icy fingers gripping her in place. "Grab my hand!" Jenna shouted, adrenaline flooding her veins. She lunged for Lily, but her daughter stood still, transfixed. "Lily!" "Mom!" A new voice slithered from the depths of her daughter's throat, low and creepy. "You shouldn't have come here." Panic seized Jenna. This wasn't her Lily. The daughter she knew flickered beneath the surface, like a dying flame. The echo of that unsettling voice reverberated through the room. Jenna's heart raced as the air grew thicker, like an approaching storm. Determined, Jenna forced her feet to move, tearing her gaze from Lily's altered figure. It was now or never. They had to escape. She darted towards the door, but as she reached for the handle, the ground trembled beneath her. Footsteps echoed, a rhythmic thud, 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 growing closer. She looked over her shoulder to see them, shadows emerging from the wallpaper. They slithered out, hands stretched forward, fingers crooked and ready to snatch her. The whispers returned, louder, surrounding her like a swarm. "Mom!" Lily's voice broke through. "Help me!" Jenna's heart shattered. The shadows roared as they neared. With one last desperate glance, she made a decision. She had to save Lily at all costs. But a horrifying thought invaded her mind. What if it was too late? With the shadows closing in, Jenna had only a breath of time to decide what to do next. What would she sacrifice to bring her daughter back? The motel's horrors were just beginning. Jenna's hand trembled as she yanked the door handle. It was stuck, refusing to budge. The shadows loomed, their whispers merging into a deafening roar, clawing at her sanity. She strained against the door, pushing with all her weight, desperation fueling her movements. "Lily, please!" Jenna shouted, her voice cracking. She glanced back, heart sinking. Her daughter was still standing there, eyes glazed over, as if she were trapped in a nightmarish trance. "They want you to." That voice, the chorus of it, curdled her blood, turning her stomach. Just how many were watching? With a final shove, the door sprang open, and Jenna stumbled into the hallway. The fluorescent lights flickered, casting erratic shadows that darted along the walls. She took a breath, one ragged gasp before the darkness swallowed her whole. "Stay with me, Lily," she cried, reaching back to grab her daughter. But Lily didn't move. "Mom, you can't save me," she said, her voice eerily calm. "You shouldn't have brought me here." Panic surged again in Jenna, coursing through her veins like ice water. "That's not my Lily," she shouted into the void, stepping further from the doorway. The shadows stretched behind her, creeping like dark smoke, eager to reclaim what they had lost. Just ahead, the hallway twisted, an impossible angle that shouldn't exist. It beckoned, promising escape, or perhaps damnation. There was a distinct pulse, thudding in her ears, drawing her toward the glowing red exit sign. Her instinct screamed for her to run, to flee while she still had the chance. "Mom, help!" The plea, full of terror, snapped her back. A surge of raw emotion erupted within Jenna, driving her forward. She spun on her heel, dashing back toward Lily, reaching for her hand. As their fingers brushed, the temperature plummeted. Shock ran through Jenna, freezing her in place. The shadows hissed, elongating and contorting around them. "You shouldn't have done that," they whispered, voices layered like a discordant cacophony. The air thickened, and Jenna's breath began to come in shallow gasps. "No, this isn't happening! You're my daughter!" Suddenly, Lily turned, eyes wide open, glistening with something unnatural. "You don't understand." The lights in the hallway sputtered, leaving them in near darkness, save for the emergency glow casting terrible shapes. Jenna gritted her teeth and shook her head, refusing to accept this fracture of reality. "We have to go." But Lily's form began to shift, the features blurring like an old photograph fading away. Jenna felt herself being pulled toward the exit, held back only by the weight of a dark force. "Mom, save me!" The voice was anguished, a mix of her daughter and something far sinister. Jenna's heart raced as she caught a glimpse of the faces peeking out from the shadows, faint outlines of those once lost, their gazes fixing on her, pleading, accusing. "Help us," they seemed to whisper, a million overlapping sorrows echoing in her ears. "No, I won't leave you!" Turning back, she clasped her hands around Lily's. The shadows recoiled, swirling violently as if trying to tear them apart. "Run!" Lily screamed, the desperation palpable. Just then, tendrils of darkness coiled around Jenna's feet, dragging her toward a pitch-black void that opened beneath them. With a scream, she yanked away, breaking free just in time. The exit sign flickered erratically. Jenna launched herself down the hallway, Lily's figure faintly trailing behind. The exit could be just ahead, but there was no way to be certain. As she dashed forward, she spotted a door swinging ajar at the end of the hall, eager to offer an escape. But before she could reach it, a deafening crash echoed through the motel, and all the lights snapped off. The shadows surged, filling the space, and she felt it, the icy grips sinking in, pulling her backward into darkness. Fearing the worst, Jenna gasped. Was it too late to save her daughter? What had she unleashed by stepping into this nightmare? The shadows were tightening around her, and the terrifying truth invaded her mind like a virus. The real horror was only beginning. The silence was deafening, a thick blanket that smothered Jenna as the lights extinguished. She stumbled, heart pounding, feeling her way through the abyss. The once distant whispers. "Lily!" she yelled, fear igniting fresh adrenaline. There was no answer, only the screeching of darkness, as if the shadows themselves wailed for something just beyond reach. A chill slipped down her spine. She had to find her daughter. Summoning every ounce of courage, Jenna took a step forward. The ground beneath her felt alive, pulsing like a heartbeat that quickened in sync with her own terror. Just then, a weak light flickered to life, revealing a hallway murky with despair.
Creeping closer, Jenna squinted to see what awaited her down the narrow corridor. Doors lined both sides, some cracked, some ajar, all ominously breathing like silent beasts. "Mom, help!" It cut through the darkness. The voice was closer now, more desperate. Jenna darted toward the sound, her legs urging her forward as if knowing there was no time to waste. "Hold on, baby." She pushed through the door on the left, praying it led her to Lily. Inside, the air was thick, almost suffocating. The room was filled with the oppressive weight of shadows congealing around her. Disembodied whispers crawled up her spine, scratching at the edge of her sanity. "Find me," a voice murmured, barely audible but unmistakably familiar. "Lily!" The word slipped from her lips, a lifeline. She inhaled slowly, bracing herself against the encroaching darkness. Sweat trickled down her brow as she scanned the corners. Nothing but forgotten furniture and disarrayed memories. Then she remembered the others, faces suspended in the shadows. What had they meant by, "They want you too"? Her breath turned shallow. Were these specters drawn to her? What would they take? Not me, not my daughter. Jenna clutched her head, feeling the walls of reality pushing inward. She rushed to the next door, its doorknob chilled like ice. Should she open it? Fear clawed at her stomach. But with another cry for Lily echoing in the depths of her mind, she twisted the knob, half expecting to feel fingers grabbing her from behind. The room beyond was an echo of chaos, clothes strewn about, broken furniture that spoke of a struggle. Jenna hesitated, her heart thumping violently. Something lurked in the corners, watching her. "Lily!" "Mom!" The voice was distant again, slipping away like a whisper on the wind. Jenna's gut twisted. She felt an electric pulse of desperation, urging her to continue. And then she saw it. In the corner, a mirror stood, an ancient, cracked thing that reflected nothing but shadows. Jenna stepped closer, drawn by a pull she didn't understand. What was hidden on the other side? As she leaned in, the whisper increased, intensifying, as if reaching a crescendo. "Look closer." "No!" Panic surged through her, and she pushed back, but it was too late. The reflection rippled, distorting her image into something nightmarish. Eyes hollow, a ghastly smile that wasn't hers. "Get out!" A voice boomed, sharp and cold, breaking through the haze. Jenna recoiled, stumbling backward. The mirror splintered, shards flying, slicing the shadows like daggers. With a scream, she turned on her heel, racing back toward the hallway, every instinct screaming for her to escape. But the whispers turned into laughter, cackles she couldn't shake off. They were coming. What had she unleashed? How could she save Lily if she couldn't even protect herself? Ahead, another door loomed, cracked slightly open, beckoning to her. Every instinct screamed to run, yet Jenna was drawn, a moth to the flame. What awaited her behind that door? Was it salvation or a deeper descent into nightmare? Heart in her throat, she pushed it open. As Jenna pushed the door, it creaked open, the sound like a tortured wail. Darkness hung thick inside, pooling in the corners and curling around her feet. She stepped over the threshold, the weight of anticipation pressing heavily on her chest. "Lily!" she called again, her voice trembling, echoing off unseen walls. The silence answered with a chilling, mocking stillness. Inside the room, the air was even colder, the kind that seeped into bones and chilled marrow. Tremors danced on her skin as if the very essence of fear clung to her like cobwebs. She squinted into the gloom, finally noticing a flickering bulb overhead, swinging slightly like a pendulum of doom. Suddenly, a rustle came from the darkened far corner, making Jenna's heart lurch. She turned, breath hitching in her throat, and saw a figure move just beyond the edges of the dim light. "Is someone there?" she asked, trying to keep the tremor from her voice. "Mom?" A voice, faint and lost, phased through the haze. It was Lily. Each syllable felt like ice carving through her. Jenna rushed forward, heart racing, but at the edge of the light, the figure melded back into the shadows. "Lily, don't hide!" Jenna's panic surged. She stepped deeper into the room, crossing blindly into the unknown, shadows dancing hungrily at her ankles. "Help me!" The voice, near yet impossibly distant, tugged at her heart, a lifeline wrapped in fear. She needed to focus, to stay calm. Rummaging through the darkness, she stumbled upon an overturned chair and gasped. "Lily!" she shouted, but her voice echoed back at her, empty and dismal. She could feel the darkness closing in, a suffocating blanket that gripped her throat. Then Jenna heard laughter again. It was low and sinister, a twisted melody that sent icy fingers crawling up her spine. It felt like a chorus, mocking her efforts, mocking her despair. She gritted her teeth and forced herself toward the opposite wall, where a sliver of light broke through the dire shadows. As she reached out, a wave of cold brushed against her, sending shivers through her fingers. The sliver opened into a gaping hole in the wall. A doorway, perhaps? Against her better judgment, she knelt and peeked inside, breath trembling on her lips. What she saw was beyond comprehension. A room bathed in red light, filled with figures she couldn't quite make out. Some were
standing. Others were slumped against walls, expressionless. They turned towards her slowly, their faces twisted and grotesque. Their eyes flickered with recognition and hunger. She gasped, her heart racing, the laughter now louder, more heartless. "Join us," they whispered, their voices merging into a cacophony of torment. "Your time has come." Jenna recoiled, her mind racing. Was this where the others disappeared to? Was this the end of her search for Lily? She stumbled back, fear branding her every thought. Behind her, she heard a slice of movement. The door she had entered through slammed shut, sealing her fate in the chamber of horrors. Panic gripped her as she banged on the door, her fists landing weakly against the unforgiving wood. "Let me out, please!" But reality crumpled like paper around her. She was trapped, ensnared in a web woven by the things that dwelled here. The laughter grew louder, pulsating, vibrating against her skin. "Mommy." A voice, soft yet haunting, came from the shadows now creeping at her heels, wrapping around her like chains. The course of Jenna's heart quickened, anguish bleeding into terror. Could this be the moment she completely lost herself? Eyes wide in horror, she turned, searching for the source of Lily's voice. Suddenly, a flash of white darted across the room, disappearing into a corner. Was it Lily? In that instant, every instinct screamed to follow. She lunged into the dark, adrenaline cleansing her fear. Where there was hope, she had to find it. But as she plunged deeper into the abyss, a deafening silence fell. What if hope was just another trick? And then she heard it. A low growl, low and threatening, inching closer from behind her. Jenna's breath hitched as the growl slithered into her ears, a primal sound that shook her core. It was close, closer than she wanted to know. With every heartbeat, the reality of her situation sank in deeper. Darkness clawed at her, and fear flooded her mind like a rising tide. "Lily!" she screamed, her voice cracking under the weight of dread. The oppressive silence that followed swallowed her words whole. She edged along the wall, her fingers tracing cold, rough plaster as she scanned the shadows, desperate for any sign of her daughter. The flickering bulb overhead sputtered, casting sporadic light that revealed fleeting glimpses of horror lurking just beyond reach. The growl morphed into a snarl, thrumming with the promise of violence. Jenna turned abruptly, wires of panic yanking her back. The dark figure she had seen earlier materialized again, its outline both familiar and horrifyingly alien. It loomed larger, its features obscured, but the hunger in its eyes was unmistakable, the same insatiable hunger of the twisted faces she had glimpsed earlier. "Help me!" came a strangled cry from somewhere near the ground. Was it Lily? Instinct overcame fear, and Jenna dove toward the voice. She slammed her palms against the dirt-caked floor, searching for her child, praying against despair. "Please, where are you?" Desperation seeped in.
Her words, a fraying thread tethering her sanity. Shadows twitched around her, whispering her name in fractured tones, each call a reminder of the terrible weight she bore. Then she spotted the faintest glow, a flicker she recognized, a fragment of Lily's favorite stuffed bear, its paw peeking out from beneath a heap of discarded debris. Jenna lunged forward, heart hammering as she pulled it closer, relief surging through her, until she noticed the bloodstains, dark and wet. "Lily!" she cried. The silence had morphed into something more sinister, a lurking anticipation thickening the air. The bear fell from her grip as she sensed movement behind her. Spineless terror coiled within her gut. She couldn't look back. Muffled footsteps approached, each one deliberate and heavy. Whatever lurked behind her relished her fear. "Join us," whispered a voice, familiar yet twisted, laced with malice. It was a warped echo of Lily's voice, warping joy into taint, like a cruel trick of fate. "Stop it! Stop playing!" Jenna shouted defiantly, but the laughter erupted around her, swelling like waves, engulfing her spirit. With trembling hands, Jenna turned to confront the unseen tormentor. No more hiding. She had to face whatever nightmare this was. But as she pivoted, her heart sank, eyes widening at the sight that met her. The room had shifted. It was no longer a stagnant nightmare, but a swirling vortex of faces, all distorted expressions of anguish, pleading roles in this macabre play. "Don't let them take you," the echoes pleaded, now a chorus of sorrowful horror. The walls pulsated, the blood-red glow bathing the grotesque features of lost souls, stretching their mouths in silent screams. Terror washed over her like a cold tide. This was not just a nightmare. This was an unbearable truth that shimmered with despair. Jenna stumbled back, searching for a way out, but the door was gone, consumed in the madness, leaving only warped reflections of past decisions tangled into the walls. And then, in the midst of the chaos, she felt a small hand clasping hers, ice-cold and fragile. Jenna spun around, breath catching. Lily stood there, blurry and flickering like an old film reel, her eyes wide with fear. "Mommy, don't let go." Jenna squeezed the tiny hand tighter, battling against the void that threatened to swallow them both. But the pull was unyielding, a heart of darkness beneath her feet. A thunderous crash echoed behind them, something breaking loose from the shadows, a creature birthed from sorrow. Jenna's heart pounded as she flung herself forward, dragging Lily along, guided by the need to escape whatever pursued them. But the figures began to converge, morphing into a storm of chaos, and just as she felt hope slipping away, Jenna saw a faint light at the end of... A sinister voice sliced through the din, mocking, "You think you can escape? We're only just beginning." What awaited them beyond that glow? Would it lead to freedom or further into darkness? The glow pulsed. "Come on, Lily, pulling Jenna forward despite the terror clinging to her like a shroud. "Come on, Lily," she urged, her voice a desperate whisper. The girl's grip tightened in response, icy fingers still clutching her mother's hand. The room seemed alive, breathing in their fear. Shadows writhed like living things, stretching and contorting as though the walls themselves were alive with the anguish of the lost souls trapped within. Jenna felt the air grow heavy, constricting her throat. She dashed towards the flickering light, praying it wouldn't fade. With every step, a frantic energy surged within her. Beneath that eerie glow, a door appeared, although its silhouette flickered. An illusion of hope? Without a second thought, Jenna barreled toward it. Nothing else mattered. She had to reach it. But as they neared, the whispers grew louder, shrill and chaotic. "You can't leave. You belong to us," they harmonized, voices melding into a haunting symphony that echoed off the walls, drowning out Jenna's thoughts. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribs like a creature desperate to break free. "Don't listen to them," Jenna shouted, her resolve hardening. She could feel the pull of the darkness, a weight threatening to drag her down, yet the sight of her daughter kept her grounded. They approached the door, its handle seemingly a beacon amidst the storm. Lily's grip slackened briefly, and Jenna glanced down, catching a glimpse of horror-stricken eyes staring back at her. The darkness seemed to swirl around Lily, reaching toward her as though some malevolent force intended to separate them. "Mommy," the girl's voice trembled, leaking a palpable fear into the air. "Not now, Lily! Hold on!" Jenna screamed, lunging forward and twisting the handle. It clicked, but the door wouldn't budge. Sweat trickled down her spine as panic coursed through her veins, igniting her fight-or-flight response. She pulled on the door with all her might, but it felt as if 1,000 souls pressed against it from the other side. The laughter erupted again, manic and chaotic, reverberating through her bones. Shadows writhed, and Jenna could feel their icy breath on the back of her neck. No, she couldn't allow this to be the end. The last remnants of her strength surged within her. "Stop it!" she screamed, fury mingling with desperation. Jenna slammed her shoulder against the door, every ounce of her being concentrated on that one moment as she pushed forward, her body slamming against the heavy wood. Then the door exploded inward with a blinding flash of light. Jenna stumbled into the abyss, pulling Lily along, their hands still entwined. The world around them twisted, colors melding chaotically. They found themselves tumbling into a new room. The sickly sweet scent of decay assaulted Jenna's senses. It was starkly lit, too bright, revealing grotesque details she wished she could unsee. Corpses hung from the ceiling like forgotten clothes, their slack expressions hinting at the terror they had endured. "Mommy!" Lily gasped, stumbling backward, wide-eyed and shaking. "Stay by me," Jenna urged, scanning the space. The walls were painted a stark white, but streaks of crimson wormed through, tracing patterns of despair. Voices began to whisper again, creeping through the floorboards, almost musical in their malevolence. "Another one. Another lost soul," they cooed, echoing into the vast expanse of the room. Jenna's heart raced, the adrenaline pulsing through her. "We have to find a way out." She pulled Lily with her, racing toward a flickering light at the far end illuminated by an old broken window. But the shadows weren't done with them. They slithered through the air, reaching out with ghostly hands. Jenna felt cold fingers graze her arm, sending shivers of ice coursing down her spine.
"You can't escape us." The whispers transformed, morphing into anguished roars, like a symphony of madness. With renewed desperation, Jenna sprinted toward the light, but as they neared, it dimmed. Was this a trap? "Mommy, please," Lily whimpered, tears streaming down her small, pale face. "Just a little further," Jenna yelled. Would this truly lead to salvation? Or was it yet another illusion crafted by the horrors that had ensnared them? The light flickered again, brightening momentarily, as if responding to their determination, before flickering out completely. Jenna could barely see as darkness rushed in. The whispers crescendoed into a cacophony, drowning out all rational thought, leaving only palpable fear. "Where are you going?" they taunted, the hunger in their voices echoing the hunger of the figures closing in. "Stay close," Jenna commanded, her heart thundering against the uncertainty swirling all around. As the shadows enveloped them, an unseen presence loomed, threatening to engulf their very souls. In a moment of flashing clarity, Jenna felt a new resolve. They would confront this darkness. They had to. But just as they reached the threshold of the light, a voice, deep and rumbling, stopped them cold. "This is where you belong." Would they be claimed at last by the shadows, or find the courage to break free? Jenna's heart thundered in her chest as the darkness rippled around them, encroaching like a flood of grief. The deep voice echoed, resonating in her bones, as if it were stirring memories long buried. "This is where you belong." What does that mean? Jenna thought, panic clawing at her throat. She turned to Lily, whose small frame shook violently. "We will find a way out, I promise," she whispered fiercely, though uncertainty gnawed at the edges of her mind. The space twisted, warping like a funhouse mirror. The flickering light in the corner wavered, teasing them with hope before collapsing into an oppressive gloom. Screams seeped through the walls, distant yet penetrating, resounding with anguish. If this was a trap, it was one of unspeakable cruelty. "Let's go," Jenna urged, yanking Lily's hand as the shadows grew bolder, lunging as tendrils of darkness hungry for their warmth. Just ahead, a grotesque figure emerged, its shape indistinct, yet familiar, eliciting tremors of recognition in Jenna's chest. "Mommy?" Lily's voice trembled, piercing through the chaos. "No, no!" Jenna gasped, recognizing the shape. It was a reflection of herself, twisted and distorted, eyes hollow and skin pale like the corpses that hung from the ceiling. The apparition reached out, an empty smile stretched across its face. "Come play with us, Jenna," it hissed, the voice all too resembling her own. "No!" Jenna screamed, squeezing her daughter's hand harder. They stumbled back, breath coming in ragged gasps as shadows surged around them, spinning a web of despair. "Listen," whispered an array of voices, 1,000 lonesome pleas curling into her mind. "Stay, stay with us, forever." The stench of decay wrapped itself around Jenna, suffocating and sickening. Time melted away as each step felt like trudging through molasses. They moved toward the exit they had strained to reach, but with each inch forward, the room seemed to stretch, as if mocking their feeble attempts to escape. "Just a bit further, Lily, just a bit further," Jenna chanted, her voice cracking under pressure, heart bursting with fear for her child. She swiped at a shadow as it lunged, feeling the icy tendrils cling to her wrist, and a cold dread enveloped her. They were surrounded. "No!" A primal scream ripped from her throat, fueled by the instinct to protect her daughter at all costs. The lights overhead buzzed angrily, flickering before bursting in a blinding flash, casting the room into utter darkness. Jenna hurled herself forward, not knowing if they would find solid ground or a gaping maw waiting to swallow them whole. Suddenly, the darkness was drawn back, revealing the flickering light, but now a harsh, sickly hue. To her horror, the room had transformed. They stood in a corridor lined with frayed wallpaper, stretching infinitely in both directions, leading to more doors, some ajar, some shut tight. Behind her, an eerie melody sounded, a haunting lullaby that sent jabs of panic through her chest. "Mommy, we're lost," Lily whimpered, and the fragile sound shattered Jenna's resolve. No, we're not lost. We'll find a way." But the air grew heavier, almost palpable, thickening with whispers. "You always are," echoed from the darkness, reverberating off the corridor walls and crawling into Jenna's mind. Then, suddenly, the distant sound of shuffling feet echoed, scraping closer. Jenna's breath quickened, heart racing like a trapped bird, each beat a countdown to whatever emerged from the shadows. "Who's there?" she shouted, forcing her voice to steady, refusing to succumb to the fear tightening around her throat. A figure emerged slowly from the gloom, indistinct and swaying. Each inch they took sent ripples of dread coursing through Jenna. "Viewers will become your only saviors," the figure rasped, lips curling into an unnerving smile, eyes glinting with malice. "Will you dare?" The shadows closed in, their fingers itching to grasp her. Jenna felt Lily's grip falter as fear seeped through their connection. "Stay close," Jenna commanded, but the figure was now too close, looming over them, and no escape seemed possible. What horrors awaited them in that corridor? Would they dare to confront the darkness?
Figures that seemed so familiar, yet utterly horrifying? Jenna's instincts screamed for her to run. The figure's eyes, dark and depthless, glinted with a knowing malice that chilled her to the bone. Staring into those hollow sockets, Jenna felt as though her very essence was being weighed and judged. "Mommy, please," Lily whispered, her voice quavering with dread. Jenna glanced back at her daughter, whose wide eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Fear tore through Jenna like a violent storm. She had to protect Lily, had to move. With a sudden burst of resolve, Jenna tightened her grip on Lily's hand and bolted down the corridor. The walls seemed to shift, distorting their surroundings, as if the length of the hallway stretched to infinity. Doors blurred past, some creaking on hinges that held secrets and regrets. "Keep running," Jenna urged, tears streaming down her cheeks. The echo of their footsteps reverberated, mingling with the haunting lullaby that danced between the walls. Every note dripped with sorrow, taunting her with memories twisted and morphed by darkness. Behind them, the scraping footfalls grew more pronounced, a slow, deliberate chase. Whatever was pursuing them was unfazed by their flight. Jenna's heart pounded louder, drowning out the lullaby but amplifying her fear. Then she heard it, a faint scratching noise coming from one of the doors. She paused, breath hitching at her throat. "Did you hear that?" Lily nodded, eyes wide with terror. What if it's a way out? "They're trying to trick us, Mommy. Please, let's keep going," Lily pleaded, tugging at her mother's arm. Jenna hesitated, her curiosity battling with the instinct for survival. But then the door creaked open a fraction, and a cool breath of air slipped through, carrying the scent of dampness and despair. "Please, we don't have time." But before Jenna could respond, the whispers intensified, echoing within the corridor. "Join us, join us," they hissed from every direction. The sinister melody filled the air, wrapping around them like a shroud. With a shudder, Jenna dashed down the hall, dodging glances at each door as she ran. The walls began to pulse, as if the entire corridor were alive, a living nightmare yearning to consume them both.
Suddenly, the lights flickered again, and the hallway plunged into darkness. Jenna felt the cold hands of despair brush against her skin, pulling her back like chains. "Mommy!" But before she could respond, a door swung open to her left, its black void an invitation fraught with danger. Without a second thought, she darted inside the open room, dragging Lily along. Inside, the room was dimly lit, walls lined with dusty shelves filled with forgotten trinkets and oddities. A flickering candle on a table struggled to stay lit, casting grotesque shadows that danced mockingly. "Where are we?" Lily's voice trembled, the innocence stripped away. Jenna scanned the room. Pictures on the walls blurred together, icy fingers of cold running down her spine. They depicted twisted faces and grotesque smiles, warped and hungry for something they couldn't grasp. She felt the pull of their hollow gazes, demanding to claim her. "We need to find a way out of here," she whispered harshly. Suddenly, the candle extinguished, plunging them into darkness once more. The door slammed shut behind them with a resounding thud, echoing ominously in the stillness. Jenna's heart raced. "Mommy?" Lily whimpered, but Jenna was frozen, staring into the oppressive nothingness. A distinct sound emerged from the pitch-black space. Soft laughter, cruel and mocking. "Stay with us," they whispered, voices overlapping, clawing at Jenna's mind. Heat crept into Jenna's chest, igniting her courage. "Get ready, Lily!" With that, she lunged for the door, her hands grasping at the handle. But as she touched it, pain shot through her arm like electricity. The voices reached a fevered crescendo, a twisted chorus pulling at her. "Do you dare?" Jenna hesitated, fear intermingling with defiance. She had to determine what lay beyond that door. Would it be a way to freedom or another trap? With a deep breath, she turned towards Lily, who was shaking uncontrollably. "We're going to find out together." What awaited them would test the depths of their resolve and unravel secrets that threatened to consume them whole. Pressing her hand against the door, Jenna braced herself. Would she dare open it? And more importantly, what would they find inside? As Jenna flung open the door, the world outside exploded with blinding light. It was a stark contrast, a slashing clarity that erased shadows and set her heart racing anew. She pulled Lily close, her grip firm, heart hammering against her ribs. They tumbled forward together, almost tripping over the threshold, into what seemed like a deserted lobby of the Timberline Motel, yet the atmosphere felt completely altered. Walls that murkily dripped with despair now glimmered under the harsh white lights. The room was empty, devoid of the foreboding figures and sinister whispers, yet Jenna felt an unnerving tension in the silence. "Where are we?" she murmured, scanning the barren space, every instinct still screaming caution. Just then, from behind the check-in desk, the sheriff appeared. His crooked smile was gone, replaced by a grim expression that felt real somehow. "You made it out," he stated, voice thick with disbelief. "How?" The aura of menace had lifted, but lingered like a specter. "I don't know," Jenna breathed heavily, her words almost lost. "But we need to get away from here. We need to—" "Start again," came a voice from deep within the shadows. Jenna turned sharply. The voice belonged to the very same figures she had seen before, now shifting and swirling at the edges, stretching toward her like desperate hands reaching for warmth. Each face bore the marks of sorrow and loss, their mouths forming silent screams that echoed within her mind. Nausea twisted in her stomach. How could they be so close, yet so far? Just as despair threatened to consume her once more, her gaze sharpened on her daughter. Lily was trembling, but stood firm, face set in determination that Jen was grateful to see. "Mommy?" Lily whispered, eyes wide but steely, unyielding.
We went through worse, right? We survived.
Yes, Jenna nodded, the weight anchoring her. They had made it this far. This was not the end, but a new beginning, one they could carve out together. In that moment, Jenna felt a piercing clarity. Those drawn faces, remnants of lost souls, were also mirrors of her fears. This wasn't merely a motel. It was a manifestation of their struggles, an accumulation of sorrow birthed from her own insecurities. "You don't own me!" she yelled, her voice echoing through the lobby like a clarion call. The whispers paused, as if stunned by her resolve. Regaining momentum, Jenna continued, her voice stronger, unwavering. "You're not going to take my daughter. We're leaving, and we're taking back what you've tried to take from us." The shadows recoiled momentarily, a fracture in their menace. The voices grew weaker, their cries muddled as Jenna tore her gaze from them and held Lily's hand tighter. "We can go home now," she said, swallowing against the lump in her throat. Without looking back, they moved together toward the front doors. The exit beckoned like a ray of hope, a portal back to the world she had known, a promise of safety painted against the wash of color. As Jenna pushed the heavy door open, warm sunlight flooded in, bathing them in a golden glow. It felt almost like the sun was welcoming them with open arms, wrapping them in its warmth. With trembling feet, they stepped outside, the cool breeze washing over them like a cleansing breath. Together, they left behind the Timberline Motel, and the shadows that thrived within its walls faded in the distance. "Mom, do you think it'll ever come back?" Lily asked, glancing up toward her mother, concern etched in her brows. "No," Jenna replied with a fierce affirmation. "We're stronger than whatever that was. Together, we can face anything." As they walked toward their SUV, Jenna felt a spark of something she had almost lost: hope. The chirping of birds and the rustle of leaves sang a song of freedom, and Jenna smiled, feeling lighter with each step. They had escaped the horrors of the motel, its ghosts evaporating into the ether where they belonged. In that moment, she sensed the weight of her past lifting. They would remember, but they wouldn't be defined by it. They would carry on, carving new stories along their journey, ones filled with joy and laughter, leaving behind only the shadows of the Timberline Motel as whispers drifting into the breeze. Now that their terrifying ordeal was over, Jenna and Lily took a deep breath, stepping into the future, hand in hand, ready to write new chapters of their lives together. And don't forget, you need to subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will keep you on the edge. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Flood the comments below with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means the world.